I am really not happy about this latest report from Neil Custis on Joshua Zirkzee. I think it is no way to treat a Manchester United player, no way to write about a Manchester United player. And I know that he's just made it up and it's all lies. We will talk about that. We will have a conversation about Joshua Zirkzee as well and some question marks around him. But we will not be calling him fat like certain journalists are. We will talk about Amorim's first signing, Kvaratskhelia, who are Manchester United's targets, what could happen in January. A couple of people have spoken about Amorim and how amazing he is. Yoro could be playing in some training matches in the international break. We'll talk about his debut. We'll talk about the new stadium. We'll talk about it all. So, hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football. Welcome back to your 10-minute Manchester United news show. Please hit that like button and, of course, subscribe down below if you're new on that road to 100,000 subscribers. We're on 96,797 subscribers, so 3 away from 96.8k. Let's get into the video. So, I'm just scrolling through Twitter and I see this. Sacked Man United boss Ten Hag didn't want to sign overweight £36.5 million flop Zirkzee. So we've decided that within 2 months of being at the club, basically, that Zirkzee's a flop. Okay, he's not been the most impressive, but he's had good games, he's had bad games. I've not seen enough of Zirkzee to say if he's a flop, because I don't think he was utilised properly and to his strengths. And I think until he gets a run of 10, 15 games under Amorim, I'm not going to judge him. But, causing that. But it's more that he's saying Zirkzee did, overweight flop. Ten Hag didn't want to sign him. He's overweight. And he goes in slamming Zirkzee. Belly flop. Sacked Man United boss Ten Hag didn't want to sign 36.5 million flop Zirkzee and fumed at striker for being a stone overweight, according to Neil Custis. Now, Sunsport can reveal not only did he arrive at United out of shape, it's taken a while for him to shift that extra weight. He did not arrive at United overweight. Before we even read this report, he did not arrive at United overweight. Zirkzee may be a bit slow, okay? He may look a little bit slow when he runs, but is he fat? Is he unfit? Not at all. So I don't get it. Even when he first arrived at United, he didn't look overweight. I just think he doesn't like Zirkzee. He wants to write something negative about Zirkzee. He knows that no one cares about what he writes because his credibility's down the bin. So he knows if he writes a really really, what's the word? Like a headline. He basically pretty much said, let's call Zirkzee fat and let's basically write a headline that's, going to be a little bit stirring the pot. Controversial was the word I was looking for. I had to pause there and say, what word was I trying to say? It wasn't confrontational, controversial. I think because he has no credibility, he wants to write something controversial that's going to get clicks, that's going to get interactions, and he starts writing some nonsense that Zirkzee's fat. He's a Man United fan that hates on our players after about 2 games and then just decides to basically make up BS reports about Rashford, BS reports about Qatar, and BS reports about Zirkzee being fat. He said that his condition left manager Erik ten Hag unhappy and he was not his choice of striker in the first place. He arrived from Bologna, was instigated by Ineos' new management team who identified the 23-year-old as good value for money. This is a matter of huge debate now, with many fans still wondering if he's up to the fitness level to play in the Prem. Now, I want to just say this now, before we even dive into the news. We needed a profile of striker, Cunha, João Pedro, Zirkzee kind of profile. We needed someone that was able to drop deeper and get more involved in play because we didn't give Højlund any service. There was no point getting a profile similar to Højlund, and we needed a striker that could potentially play with Højlund. Value for money, Zirkzee was the best on the market. My first choice would have been Matthias Cunha because his Premier League proven is a little bit physically stronger than Zirkzee, but they wanted 60-odd million more. We're not in a position to spend 60 million on a striker when we spent 70 million on Rasmus Højlund. So I get why Neil sought Zirkzee. Zirkzee's Dutch. Ten Hag did actually want Zirkzee, so I'm not sure why he's making it up. And I just think calling Zirkzee fat, saying he arrived overweight, I think is really unfair, because I'm just going to say this now. This is the journalist that said Sheikh Yassin will complete his full takeover of Man United in the next 2 weeks. Breaking, Manchester United is set to sign David De Gea in a short-term contract. They're worried about goalkeepers when Andre Onana goes to AFCON, and that Barcelona are ready to offer Mason Greenwood Lionel Messi's number 10 shirt as part of a 40 million summer transfer. So he kept going on about how Barcelona wanted Greenwood and they were going to pay 40 million for him, and they thought Greenwood was amazing. Well, Barcelona didn't even make a bid for Greenwood. He said that Sheikh Yassin was done on about 4 occasions. Well, we've got Sir Jim in the door, and he said that De Gea was going to come back to United. So the guy that is saying this about Zirkzee is full of shite, and I'm going to be honest, we're going to have a conversation about Zirkzee. I think that there's been 3 or 4 games where I feel that we've been a better team with Zirkzee on the pitch. I thought the Brighton game was good, I thought the Crystal Palace game was good. I do think recently he's not looked great. He does look a bit clunky, if that's the word for him, a little bit slow. And I'm all for a little bit of football banter. You're on Twitter, football banter, saw someone saying Zirkzee's slower than the Man United, than the GTA 5 loading screen. That's a bit of banter. You know, we all can have a bit of banter. We can all criticise a player. But you know what? I think Zirkzee will become good because I watched Zirkzee when he was at Bologna. I watched Zirkzee when he was playing for Bologna. I thought he was a good player. I like his all-round game. I like what he had. I know that he's being misprofiled. And, you know, everyone has their right to criticise Zirkzee. He's not been super impressive. That's fine. But to be abusing a player and calling him fat and writing fake reports saying that he was fat and overweight, if you're a professional journalist, it's not acceptable. And I don't care if you agree with me or not. But I just think if you are a qualified journalist, and yes, you write for The Sun, so you're not particularly qualified, are you, in my opinion? But why are you writing reports about a player being fat? Why don't you write reports about Amorim and how we could use Zirkzee and different stuff? Why are you writing shite like that? That's all I'm saying. Let me know your thoughts down below, but I'm not happy with that. But look, we've wasted 6 minutes on Neil Custis, or as I sometimes say, replace the S for an N. But let's talk about Amorim. Ruben Amorim is keen on signing Kvaratskhelia at Manchester United. Napoli have put a £90 million price tag on the attacker as contract talks are at an impasse. Now, do I think United will sign Kvaratskhelia? No. Do I think Caught Offside is a particularly reliable source? No. But do I think United will look at Kvaratskhelia and want to sign Kvaratskhelia? Absolutely. Do I think Kvaratskhelia would be amazing? Absolutely. Is Kvaratskhelia my dream winger? Absolutely. After Elise, he was. Would I take Kvaratskhelia in a heartbeat? Absolutely. Will Napoli make it very difficult? Yes, Napoli will want us to pay a ridiculous amount for him. And I think the way I see it is I'd love Kvaratskhelia at United. We might try for it. I don't think it's realistic. I think Amorim would want him. I think we could go for it. Maybe if we get good sales, there's a possibility. But under Amorim, we're probably going to need at least 2 centre-back signings because of the way he plays. We're going to need a left wing-back, so that's 3 signings. We're going to need at least 1 midfielder, potentially 2, because Eriksen and Casemiro could both leave. And, you know, Mason Mount can't stay fit. And we're going to need a forward. So the way I see it is 2 midfielders, 2 centre-backs, at least 1 full-back. You could even say 2 with Malacia and Shaw. So a full-back, 2 centre-backs, 2 midfielders. That's already 5 signings, which could be 30, 40 million each. I don't think we're in a position to spend 90 million on Kvaratskhelia, especially if we don't get into the Champions League again. The budget is going to be tight, and I do think we need a good 5 signings. I think, you know, and Kvaratskhelia or Cole Palmer would be a dream for me. I think, you know, Tchouameni would be a dream for me. You know, Diomande would be fantastic. Braithwaite would be good. Alphonso Davies. Some really good midfielders like Stiller. Yeah. But I don't think we're getting that. I mean, the players we've been linked to is Inacio, but I think he's too similar to Licha. I think we'd go for Diomande. Chocorez would be great, but I think Højlund could potentially do that. And with Obi Martin coming through, I think we might look elsewhere. Chris Rigg, one for the future. I think we could be looking at him. Naipan and Dibbling are interesting. I think we could potentially be looking at them, but I think they may want a more ready-made forward. It depends because obviously he plays narrow forwards. Dibbling is more of a wider winger. Hjulman we've been linked to in the past, potentially if Casemiro leaves. Alvaro, 16 million buyback clause. I think that could be utilised. 8 Nouri and Alphonso Davies. I'd love Alphonso Davies. I do think he's Real Madrid bound. Although I do think Amorim's system is probably made for Alphonso Davies. And while it makes sense for him to go to Real Madrid, I do think if you look at Amorim's system, I think it's made for Alphonso Davies as well. We also got some updates coming in on Leny Yoro. Leny Yoro, who turns 19 next week, will not play against PAOK on Thursday or Leicester on Sunday. However, perhaps there will be a cameo from him during the open training session at Carrington on Wednesday. So Leny Yoro very close to return, could potentially play in those 2 games, but I think United would see that as rushing him back, and there's no need to rush him back. They've got Lissandro and De Ligt fit. They want to keep him ready for Amorim. He's likely to, you know, be on the bench for Amorim's first game versus Ipswich and slowly sort of be integrated into the team. I don't think he'll start his first few games. I think he'll slowly get a few cameos off the bench, but I do think he will become a starter under Amorim. I think the profile of player that he is, I think Amorim will quite like him. And then lastly, it was said that Manchester United have put back a final decision on stadium development until next summer. United want to explore what is possible to maximise the area available to the club and are not expected to understand that fully until spring. So they are going to build a new stadium in Ineos or renovate Old Trafford, but they're still just doing some assessments, seeing what they can do. Obviously, there's a lot of planning in this. It's a big planning process in general. And I also want to just say as well that Gary guy that was trying to get Ruben Amorim to speak English in flying out to Portugal. What a knob. What a knob. There's this Gary Cotterill. He's a journalist. He harasses Ten Hag when he first joins United. He's harassing Amorim. He's getting annoyed at Amorim because he wouldn't speak English when he's been asked to speak Portuguese in a Portuguese press conference. Just want to say, the journalists right now, absolute knobheads. Absolute knobheads, aren't they? But listen, people, please hit the like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Thank you for watching. Bye.